Rude hand gestures from around the world. And this is really important to know, especially if you're traveling. Now, the middle finger is probably the most common and most universal. Nothing gets lost in translation here. The wanker, what even is this? A true joy to perform, calling someone a wanker without accompanying it with the appropriate gesture. I think I've seen this before and I didn't understand. Now, here's when things get confusing. The V sign. Be careful in the UK, Ireland, New Zealand, and Australia. While the V sign means peace in much of the world, in the UK and some other Commonwealth countries, it can be a declaration of war. It's specifically the part of showing your fingernails. What? Oh, even I've seen this one as an American. Something like your hand moving from your chin. Again, another reason why I've got to review this. The thumbs up. In Thailand, Iran, Afghanistan, even Italy, Benin, and some other African nations, you might get away with putting your thumb up in Thailand, but it's also equivalent to sticking out your tongue. My thumb's cold, wanna warm it with your butt. What? I've never heard of that in my entire life. That's why I actually never give a thumbs up. I'll always put the pinky out for whatever reason. This I just can't take seriously. Not that you can take this any more seriously. I do know the AOK can be bad, specifically in Brazil, Turkey, Germany, and Venezuela. Could be seen as just an FU or some other things. The dog call, which is specifically offensive in the Philippines, this gesture can actually land you in prison. What is this? What is that? The southpaw handshake, specifically don't do this in Afghanistan, Iran, India, Malaysia, or Egypt. In many parts of the world, the left hand has traditionally been used and is often still used for personal matters. Oh, I write with my left. Is that bad? And if you thought you'd be able to escape all these controversies by putting your hand in your pocket, think again. I actually already know why this can be seen as sketchy. It just seems weird. Like, why are you trying to hide your hands? It's like, it kind of displays that you're untrustworthy, or I guess a sign of rudeness as well. Oh yeah, this is something about the devil, right? Oh, never mind. That has nothing. Never mind. I thought that was the devil. The Kudus in India and Pakistan. Something just F word everything. The five fathers. Fancy suggesting someone's mother is a what? The tapita from Chile. For some reason, pretending to get sauce out of a brand new bottle of ketchup is equivalent to saying someone has. Okay. The fish sign. Okay. Crossed fingers. Oh, this is bad luck, isn't it? Never mind. We're not even gonna. I can't even read some of these. The Vulcan salute. Okay. Well, this was just a joke here. And the bared souls finally. And wow. There's certain parts of the world that get really offended by certain gestures. Iran and Afghanistan have popped up a lot. Don't show your feet in these countries. It's considered lowly. Finally, the little finger wag. I think I would be offended as someone from the US if you started doing this to me. I don't know why that would personally bother me. There's no meaning. I'll just be like, yo, put this guy in prison. Why do I feel like these hand gesture lists just get longer and longer every time I see them? Football matches that are literally banned. So this shouldn't be surprising. Ukraine versus Russia. They're not going to allow that right now. But I kind of wish they did. Could you imagine the chaos? Spain versus Gibraltar. I could see why that would be somewhat of a problem since Gibraltar is British owned but pretty much in Spain. Serbia versus Kosovo. Can totally see why that would be an issue too. Kosovo breaking away from Serbia. Serbia does not recognize that still. But also Kosovo versus Bosnia. Nice job, Kosovo, popping up twice. 3 times Kosovo versus Russia. And finally, because this is also another conflict going on, Azerbaijan versus Armenia. I mean, I kind of want to see these happen just for the chaos. That would be really fun to watch. I really like this question. What about North Korea versus South Korea? Or yeah, Israel versus Palestine. Here's the top 10 countries receiving US foreign aid. Obviously, number 1 is Ukraine with 1.2 billion. Then obviously number 2 is Israel with 3.3 billion, but I bet you that's higher now. Then in third, we have Afghanistan. I didn't know who would be in third, and I don't even know who is going to be on the rest of this list. They were still giving 1.9 billion to Afghanistan. 1.7 billion to Ethiopia. People were trying to pull some favors or something. 1.4 to Egypt. 1.3 to Yemen. 1.1 to Jordan. Then there's South Sudan, Nigeria, and Syria. They haven't got up to a billion yet, but you know, maybe one day. Majority coming from the Middle East and North Africa, I guess. Besides the top 2, yeah, I'm really curious what our intentions are here, or what's going on. Got a lot of questions. Apparently, even now, most of that aid is still about the same. Ukraine getting the vast majority. They're getting even more. Interesting the differences between economic aid and military aid. Egypt's getting mostly military. But yeah, still Ethiopia, Jordan, Egypt, Afghanistan. US states with shrinking population. And surprisingly, it's not California. California's in second. They lost 75,000 people. Number 1 is actually New York with over 100,000. This is the number of people lost in 2023 alone. That's a whole 0.5% of the state leaving, or I think just dying, right? I mean, it could be both. Then in third, we have Illinois. So all these top 3 are highly populated states. Interesting to note, though, Florida is not on this list. Neither is Texas. These numbers aren't quite as impressive, but Louisiana losing 14%. That's still 0.3% of their entire state's population. Then Pennsylvania, Oregon, Hawaii, and West Virginia. New York City's population shrank by 77,000 people. This is just talking about the city alone. That's more than the entire state of California's loss. I think the theme here is most of these places are kind of northern states, minus Louisiana and California. Some of this is probably just due to cost of living. I can't wait to see the 2024 version of these numbers. If Wyoming lost the same pop as New York City, it'd be close to empty. It wouldn't be close to empty, but that would be 20% of their population. Only about 500,000 people live here. If New York is losing 100,000, that, yeah, like a whole fifth. Is it legal to cook lobsters? I've always thought about this when I'm in a store seeing the lobsters in the tank. I don't know why, I've always felt so bad for them. I know they're like weird alien looking creatures, but still. We're specifically talking about cooking lobsters alive. So in the vast majority of Europe, it is in fact legal, except for 3 places: Switzerland, the UK, and Norway. All those countries have it illegal. You cannot in fact cook these lobsters alive here. Did they just like beat it over the head real quick and then throw it? Like what do they do? Interestingly, the UK has just updated their list of animals that are formally recognized as sentient beings. Wow. Basically, all vertebrate animals will be now recognized as sentient. That would then include fish, amphibians, reptiles, birds, and mammals. Interestingly, snails are not one of them. France can still cook their escargot alive if they want. I don't think I've ever looked this up, what has vertebrae and what doesn't. Oh, this is interesting. The UK has always led the way on animal welfare, and now that they've left the EU, we are now free to drive the highest standards of animal welfare in the world. So that explains why these are all non-EU countries that have made it illegal. Very interesting. This is the real reason why we're not in the EU. In the end, it's all about the lobsters. Well, I mean, dang, justified. Areas invaded by the Crusades. These aren't all actually crusades for the Holy Land, because to start things off, in the Baltics, Nordic regions, as well as at northern Germany and northern Poland, these crusades were started to take out the pagans. I like how just all of Czechia is here for heretics. Imagine having your entire country listed. Obviously, there was a crusade against the Muslims, the Reconquista, to kick them out of Iberia. Also, the Muslims in modern-day Algeria and Tunisia, even Sicily, even really south in France. These are heretics, though. So Czechia is not the only one. We also have all of Bosnia. Heretics in the Balkans. Of course, Muslims in the Anatolia Peninsula. And yes, here is the Holy Land that, you know, what you think of crusades, that's what it is. But there was technically so many declared all around the Europe continent and Africa. According to this, there was technically 8 major crusade expeditions, but I don't think that map is showing just that. If you're just talking crusade in general, even like the minor ones, then wow, a lot can be included apparently. Some of them are like classified in very strange ways. Wow, this list goes on forever. Even political crusades? Didn't know there were that many. The decline of trust among Americans has been national. I really don't think this should be that surprising, but compared to 1972, we don't trust each other as much. There's a percentage of Americans who said most people can be trusted by geographic regions. Interestingly though, even in 1972, the South here was really untrustworthy. The people here were still at higher rates saying that most people generally were not trustworthy. Please compare that to this part of the Midwest and the flatter states. These people were at 60% or higher saying most people can be trusted. I find it fascinating even in 1972 the difference between the South and the East out this way and the other states. I mean, obviously you have like Georgia and Florida that still can be considered like culturally part of the deep South. They definitely differed here from Louisiana, Alabama, Mississippi. The average in 1972 was 46.2%. Now it is 25.3%. Funny enough, still Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, and Oklahoma are still among the lowest. Well, now it's under 20%. Most people cannot be trusted. But then look at states like Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and New York go down. They're at the same level as this geographic region. Whereas before, in 1972, they were really trustworthy comparatively. Also, this part of America have really jumped up. They are no longer super like, hey, everyone's chill. There's probably a number of factors that come into play here. Yep, was pretty much going to mention the media. That's the top comment. Making truth-telling the primary goal, not the narrative setting. That is literally never going to work, though. The media is for profit. That's all they care about. They want that bag. It's like, you can't just, yeah, that's never going to happen. Best-selling vehicle in each state. I just wanted to confirm my own personal belief. I knew California was going to have a Tesla. These things are literally everywhere here, which funny enough, I don't see any other Teslas on this map. Most of the states are dominated by the Ford F-Series, 14 to be exact. However, the Chevy Silverado is technically winning the war at 16. Texas is a Ford fan, but New Mexico, Arizona, they're more Chevys. Oklahoma, the war goes back and forth. The F-Series, the Chevy, Dodge Ram in Wyoming, and also Dodge Ram in Nevada. In third place is the Toyota RAV4, interestingly enough, so it's not a truck, because most of these states are dominated by trucks. The RAV4 is winning in Oregon and Washington, also Illinois, so North Carolina, Virginia, Maryland, Pennsylvania, New York, wow, all in the, wow, these guys really love their Toyotas. Then we have an outlier here, New Jersey, with the Honda CR-V. Crazy, like Americans just don't really like cars. The only one is the Toyota Corolla here in Florida, even as far out as Hawaii. They're still getting Toyota trucks, the Toyota Tacoma. I really wonder how much this is going to change since France, vehicle prices are like out of control. Will we see Americans move away from the bigger, bulkier vehicles? Weird that Arkansas is the only one that has the GMC Sierra. Amazed it's not a Subaru in Oregon or Washington. Crazy, because if you compare this map to Europe, it's so drastically different. They do not like their trucks over there as much. So there's a lot less room. Can you blame them? FIFA World Cup winners by World of Statistics. Starting the year 1930, we have Uruguay picking up the first World Cup. Interesting that Benito Mussolini gets the next World Cup. And they win again in 1938. And there's a little bit of some space because World War II has to take place, so they didn't do that for a while. So the first 4 World Cups, it just went between Uruguay, Italy, and Uruguay. 2 nations winning 2. I don't think Uruguay wins anymore. I think Uruguay only has 2, right? Finally, 1954, Germany wins. I'm guessing that's West Germany. 2 wins for Brazil. Actually, 3 if you count 1970. England gets 1. Germany pops up again. Argentina gets their first win in 1978. Italy comes back. Then Argentina comes back. Then Germany. Then Brazil. Okay, finally France gets on the board in 1998. Brazil, Italy, then finally Spain. There's so many countries that continually pop up. Oh, the big one. All the Brazilians know about this one. Germany wins. France won in 2018, and then we all remember Argentina winning 2 years ago. And this is what the current race is looking like. Brazil leads with the most amount of World Cups. It is interesting that they haven't won one in 20 years, though. Italy and Germany are tied for second. Then Argentina, France, Uruguay, England got 1, and then Spain got 1. I just wonder, will the U.S. ever win one? I mean, I doubt it, but here are the different fines recently received by different nations during the 2024 Euro. Only Spain, Slovakia, and France escaped without a fine yet, that is. They did say this is specifically talking about the group stage, at least. Czechia got a $7,000 fine. Scotland got a $9,000 fine. Denmark with $10,000. Oh, come on, England. Those are rookie numbers. You gotta pump those numbers up. Belgium with $17,000. The Netherlands with $20,000. How is Ukraine supposed to pay that? Germany only $23,000. Now things are starting to get real crazy. We have over $50,000 Slovenia. Poland with $56,000. I'm assuming this is in euros too. Then we have the boys back in town again. Austria and Hungary back to back. Romanian $84,000. Switzerland, really? I thought you guys were supposed to be neutral. I guess they can still be neutral but still commit fines. Turkey at $95,000, and then here is the top 3: Serbia, Albania, and Croatia. Is anyone honestly surprised? These are the only 3 nations that reached over 100,000. Jeez, Croatia, 220,000. That's insane. The totals exceeding 1.2 million euros. That's impressive, guys. Is this a new record? I bet you it is. Just with inflation and all. Why is it when something bad happens, it's always you 3? Some of the fines could occur because of throwing objects. Denmark's fines come from fans showing an UEFA banner. Romania has the bigger fine than Hungary. One more for the good guys. Big ol' thanks to my patrons. Drew's Argentinian grandpa. Lucas, the Canadian Goose from Avoca.
Drew har förvisats från Sverige för brottet att vara dans.
Amateur Archaeology. Sarsath. Carmel S. Kade DaBeautiful-MEGAN-Underwood. Fredrik Tibblin, your dad, back with the milk. Look outside. Sebby, if you hear this, and Tambre.